Hello beautiful and welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where I'm going to show you all of my neutral palettes. I know, it sounds like clickbait, but it's actually not. I thought I'd film the intro for this video where I'm actually having somewhat of a neutral-ish look on. This look might already be up and I will link it down below, and if it isn't up yet, I will put the link in the description box as soon as it is up. So just check the description box and see if the look is up or not. But basically what we're going to be talking about is all of my neutral palettes, and I just filmed this a while ago and I'm just doing a bit of an intro now so that you can, you know, see all of my neutral palettes, have a bit of a peek of my collection. I did film all of my rainbow palettes, I did film all of my indie palettes. I'll leave a couple of corresponding other videos down below so that you can have a peek at some other like parts of my collection if you're interested. And also don't forget to subscribe before you leave if you haven't been there before. My name is Angie. I'm a lover of fashion and makeup. I do love colorful makeup more than neutral makeup, but a lot of you were asking to see my neutral palette, so that's what we're doing now. You might see those on brands that you haven't seen before because I'm also such a lover of indie makeup, so you might see some palettes that you like haven't seen before. And if you want to fill your timeline with some color and some new things that you might not see on other channels, don't forget to subscribe because I upload several videos a week. But now let's get into the palettes. Do let me know your thoughts down below and let me know what other kind of palette videos or like collection parts of my collection, other parts of my collection you would like to see in videos like this. I am open for suggestions down in the comments, but let's dive in. Okay, let's try and get into the neutral palettes. I'm gonna start... do I want to start with the big ones or the small ones? I think I'll start with the small ones, and I think I'll start with this one. This is the newest neutral palette in my collection. I haven't even, when I'm filming this, hauled this yet. Let's see if I cannot blind you. This is the Spritz palette by Viseart, and I think that this is pretty neutral. I mean, of course it has like 3 more colorful shades here, but to be fair, this is a pretty neutral palette. This is the first time that I'm trying Viseart, so I'm actually super excited to be trying this out and seeing how it is. But I would say that this is a pretty neutral palette, but I'm happy I have it. Like, I don't hate neutral palettes as a concept, I just feel like a lot of them are not that interesting, and I love the pop of like a bit of red and coral in here. It's very much my style. Then we have the Kaleidos one. I have all the Kaleidos palettes, so this is like collector me is keeping this. Look at this packaging, how beautiful this is. And you open it up and it just opens up to... Ooh, let's do it like this. It just opens up into a 6-pan palette like this, and it has one pop of a very metallic red here, and this is very red, and the other shades are really beautiful too. The silver is very extraordinary. Some people ask me if I can compare the silver to this silver and the Cutie palette by Nabla. This is a cool tone neutral palette. It's very new to my collection, so let's just do that. I didn't take that much of this one. Maybe I should take a bit more so it's more comparable. So this is the red shadow. And let's swatch the 2 silver shades. I'll just swatch them here. This is the one that's from the Kaleidos palette. You can see it's super reflective. And this is the one from Nabla. I'd say that maybe this has more micro shimmer in it and like glittery particles. And this is just a straight up smooth metallic, I would say like aluminum thing, but they are both super silvery, and they are both that true bright silver. So I would say they're pretty comparable, but I do see some micro shimmers in this one. Oh my god, I am gonna be silvery for days. So I would say that maybe these are a bit comparable to each other, not like they are dupes, because this one, the Kaleidos one, is so much warmer than the Nabla one, but they do have some similarities. I would say that maybe the Nabla one is just a cool toned version of the Kaleidos one, and also of course it's an addition of that red metallic. But I do like both of these, and I'm happy I have them in my collection. Then we have this one. This is one of my favorite nude palettes. This is the Huda Beauty medium, nude medium. I did a video with this one. I think this is such a pretty palette. It's just goes so well with my skin tone, and this is more of a mauve pink kind of a thing, and you will see here how I interpreted like neutral palettes. It's not just browns, it's not just grays, it could be mauve and pinky ones. It can also be neutral palettes with just a pop. You'll see in a little bit, but yeah, I really do like this one, and I love small palettes. Same like this one. This is the Kiko Milano Tuscan Sunshine. This is in number 2 Spring Awake. And this looks like this. This is a very neutral palette, but it's leaning in more pinky. This one, Sienna, is just such a beautiful, like, It's just such a beautiful plummy shade. It just goes on so great like on the eyes. It's honestly one of the most perfect plummy browns, and I'm so happy to have this little 6-pan palette. This is probably a palette that, if I didn't have the other cutie palettes, I'd probably get rid of the Nabla nude cutie palette, because this isn't like anything super exciting to my collection. There's nothing wrong with these shades. These shades are really nice, but I never reach for a palette like this. I would much rather reach for the cool tone one over this one, if I'm gonna be honest. But since I have the other cutie palettes, I'm holding on to this one to see if maybe they'll release even more in the future. I do think that as a YouTuber, there is a point in like being able to compare different releases to each other. When it comes to Nabla, I think most Nabla palettes are like neutral with a twist, or a half neutral, half colorful palette. I am gonna do a video showing you all my half neutral, half colorful palettes as well, because I think that that is one of my favorite categories when it comes to palettes. But this one, the Dreamy 2, I feel like this is a pretty neutral palette, but like a neutral palette with a twist. It has one more lavender purple here, and one that is like a dark blue shimmer, but other than that, this is a pretty warm neutral palette with a lot of darkness to it. And then this Lucid Dream is a gold duochrome. It's really, really pretty. It's just a topper shade that gives the most beautiful goldy sparkly sheen. Nabla is really, oh my god, glittery everywhere. Nabla is really good with making like shadows that have a lot of micro shimmer in them, so it gives a lot of nice sheen and dimension on the eyes. And they're really good with making different formulas within one palette, and this is definitely proof of that. Let me show you the other Nabla palette that I have here as well while we're talking about Nabla, because I definitely feel like the Dreamy 1 is a, so this is the Dreamy 2 and this is the Dreamy 1. Let me show you and just compare them, because the Dreamy 1 is more light and more mauvey, and well, more of a like traditional mauvey neutral palette, whilst the Nabla Dreamy 2 is just a little bit more like dark and sultry and maybe nighttime and more sparkly as well. This is more leaning like rust orange red. This is leaning a lot more pinky like purple. I think that when you look at this, you think that this is more colorful than it is, but I will say that on the eyes, this very much translates into a like pinky mauvey neutral palette with a little bit of a dusty purple. This is pretty much the modern nudes, or the new nudes, or whatever it's called, by Huda Beauty, just a little bit more purpley. But I still count that as a neutral palette in my collection. Here is something that I don't know if a lot of people will agree that this is a neutral palette, but this is Elva eyeshadow palette from Odin's Eye. Odin's Eye is a Swedish indie brand, and I did get sent this as PR, but this is so mauvey, neutrally pinky. These mattes are really, really nice, and these have like a pop of like an orangey gold, but it's just like these shimmers are so nice, like honestly so nice. They have like, this is just a straight up like shimmery metallic, and the mattes are just really nice. This is that mauvey one, but these shimmers, they have like multi-dimensional glitter in them in different colors. You can see that really almost shifts, because this is like a peachy brown with like periwinkle shimmer in it, so it's definitely a neutral palette with a twist. I have not used this enough and given this the love that it deserves, but honestly, this is such a nice palette. Okay, let's see if we can get some of this off me. Oh my god, I'm so shimmery. That's the life we're living. Let me show you the biggest one. I think that some people might think that this is like half neutral, half colorful, but if you open the Jaclyn Hill palette, the first white one from Morphe, look at this. It's got like 6 little corner. This is a neutral palette with a pop, if there ever was one. All of these are warm neutrals. Warm neutrals. There's not even a berry matte for the crease. There's not a purple matte for the crease. There is not even, there's literally just warm neutrals and just some here in the bottom. And I know that this is what people want, and that's why this palette got so much hype. For me, this is just okay. I saved this for reference, but since Morphe has totally changed the formula of this, there's really no point for me to save this. So I think that this might actually have to go. I don't know if I will film like a declutter in a bit, so I'll hold on for it for just a little bit more. But honestly, if there was ever a palette that I felt like I was done with, this is it. I did a video doing the makeup palette, like eyeshadow palette tag, the one that Samantha March and Ali Glines did, and I said that this was my oldest palette, but I still have it. This is the Manny and Makeup Geek palette. I think that this is a beautiful palette, and this is a very neutral palette with two little pops here, one that typical plummy red base with a green shift, and then a red. This red is great though. I really wish that Makeup Geek would have a way to bring this one back into their collection. It's a beautiful red. It's very gritty but still very like pigmented. It's like exactly like reds usually are when they are this kind of a highly pigmented red. This was a really great palette, like a really great release, and this collaboration was just so spot on. I really hope that Makeup Geek will make more eyeshadow palette collections or collabs in the future. I would love to see that. Speaking of collabs, here is the Dream Street. This is Kathleen Lights and Colourpop. This packaging is really great. They always make great packagings, Kathleen Lights and Colourpop. This is a very neutral palette. This is more like a, I want to say a mix of a neutral and a warm tone palette, and then it has a pop of this coral and two greens. These aren't the best greens in the world, but I have actually made a look with these two tealy shades. They're nice. I will say that these shades are really nice, but some of these are a bit like similar. But I honestly think that this is quite a nice neutral palette, and for being a neutral palette, some of these shades being a bit rosy, being a bit, there's just something different in this undertone. I feel like maybe it's a rosy bronze. I like them. I actually think that this palette is really nice. If I had more time, I'd play more with it, but it is a really nice palette. I have these two neutral palettes from Juvia's place. It's the nudes and the chocolates. I did buy a bundle with all four of these palettes, so I do have the, what is it called? Lilacs? Or lavenders or purples, and the berry one. So this is my least favorite one, and it's because it's so light. There is really nothing wrong with this palette. It's just so light. But if these are the kind of tones that you like, I think this would be a great everyday palette because it is slim enough to slip into something. It would be great to travel with, or to have just if you do your makeup on the way to work or something like that, or maybe after the gym. But it's just not exactly the tones that I'm after. I'm keeping this mainly for reference at this point. I like this one more. I did do a look, I don't know if I filmed it, but I did wear this palette on my channel. I think that this is so yummy and dark. So if I am to go for neutrals, this is basically more of the tones I would go for. Dark, yummy. I really actually like this one because it's so dark. I don't mind when it's like smoky and dark, and this, like the Juvia's Place shimmers are impeccable. But yeah, I don't mind the chocolate one. This one only if you really like a light eye look, otherwise I don't think you'd appreciate this. This one is a bit of an older palette in my collection. I did get this from Georgia Harris when we did a exchange a couple of years back. This is the Lorac Unzipped Desert Sunset. This has this weird like almost accordion opening, and it is like a neutral palette with a pop of a purple. It's very like neutrally chocolate brown, and then it has a couple of more mauvey berries here, but this whole palette is very subtle. This feels like a typical like, I don't know, wedding palette, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I do think that you would make a great wedding makeup out of this one. It's a really nice palette. It survived a lot of declutters. I think it's cute. I like the packaging. Oh my god, am I this fatty or am I just sweating? I don't know. Don't ask. I only have two more palettes to show you, because that's only how many neutral palettes I have. Ooh, this is the Warrior by Juvia's. I feel like this is the Urban Decay Honey palette before Urban Decay Honey palette. Does this make sense? It only has 3 mattes, and I think that this palette would have really benefited. Just get rid of one of these shimmers, maybe this one or this one, and just get in either a really mustardy matte or maybe something else like a mid-tone matte that was like not the, you understand, just one more matte to make this palette go in another way. But I will say, excellent quality. Like these shimmers are crazy pigmented, and yeah, like I said, this is definitely the honey palette before the honey palette, because this been, look at that, maybe I should do something with this, like this one together with the matte yellow. Look at that. So pretty. Okay, last one. And I don't know if you're gonna think that this is a neutral palette, but this is a neutral palette to me. This is the MaxUp the MakeUp Sweater Weather. It is neutral, but it definitely has some pops. But I won't really call this a half neutral, half colorful, because it only has 2 pops here and 2 pops here. Then it's beigey brown with the gold, more brown beiges, and then just some burgundies and a brown down here. So I feel like this is very neutral. This is like the Morphe 350, you know, that stupid one with 1 green. It's like that palette, but good. This is great quality. I have played with this palette. It's really nice. I think I've only used it twice though, so I can't really give you a full review of it, but it is a nice palette. It is nice. Oh my god, I took this over something else. These are nice shadows. I'm just swatching the colorful ones here so you can see that you actually do get some nice pigment. This one I swatched over something else that was stupid. But this one, I mean, these are nice shades. It's American indie brand, and I did get this in PR, and this is a really nice palette. I like it. I like it. So those are my neutral palettes. I'm gonna scooch them all into the middle. Which of these neutral palettes do you own? Which do you think is the best? Is there any of these that you wouldn't have counted as a neutral palette? I personally don't see neutral palettes as all browns, but I also don't think that neutral palettes, sometimes I see people show really like red, yellow, orange palettes and call it a warm neutral palette. For me, I think that if the color is really popping and the color is really changing the way your colors are around the eyes, I no longer think it's a neutral palette. But if it's only a pop, like if it's only like a color or two, then I'll just scoop them in with the other neutral palettes and call it a day. Let me know which one is your favorite here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!